What's next for Ilia Topura? I'll tell you right now. You want to know what's going on with Topuria? Nothing. Now, I'm making a prediction for you, but as the smartest guy in the room, to make sure that you can stand back and enjoy this, nothing. There are times in life, it's a hard one to know. It's a very hard one to know. You can take your oars out of the water. You gotta know when to do nothing. You gotta know when you can be heard the most, when you can get your voice out the most by staying silent. It's a very hard thing to do. You meet guys in life that they can't work hard enough. They figure out why they're not where they wanted to be, right? Why they're not the starting lineman, just for example. But then you go look at it and you go, look at the guy that is the starting lineman. Don't act like you work as hard as he does, right? It's one of those things. Like, it's really difficult to work really hard. But once you do form those positive habits, it can be equally as hard to pull back. And I'm just sharing for you so that you sit back and you observe it. Like, 145 pounds is not what you think it is. And it's for those very reasons that nothing is going to be done in the short term with Ilia Topura. Look, let me give you a great example. Volkanovski comes out, says, I'm the number one contender and I want a rematch. Well, that was something that nobody had considered. Volkanovski was the favorite going into that fight. Volkanovski's cleaned out 145 pounds. It was the exact same spot, right? As you're bringing up Duplessis, you're bringing up Chimaev, or you're welcoming Kamaru Usman. Like, you had all this excitement at 185 pounds, but then all of a sudden the king, Adesanya, falls. Well, of course the king falls to number one contender. Of course he now he goes from champion with the C next to his name in the ranking to one. He becomes the number one contender for the belt that he just surprisingly lost. Okay. We understand that. But not everybody can get that rematch. There begins to be things that have to happen. And if you look at 145 pounds, Volkanovski was not guaranteed the rematch. Now, one of the reasons he wasn't guaranteed the rematch, okay? And there's an idea in the war room at the Ultimate Fighting Championship located in Nevada. The reason that Volk wasn't told up, down, or sideways, it couldn't be done. You could not, under the rules of fight promotion, tell Volk yes or no that night. Why? Why? Sure you could, Chael. It's a microphone. Just say the words. No, wrong, because the very next week was Rodriguez versus Ortega in the same weight class. So without ever speaking the words, you at least allow the idea to exist that that is a number one contenders match. And there's nothing that you would do if you were a reasonable-minded business person to get in the way of your own product. I'm sharing this with you. These aren't Chael's rules. I'm sharing with you what's happening all around you, standing back and just making sure that you observe the board. Okay, great. It's a week. No problem at all, because we got to hear from doctors and we got to, trainers, and let everybody calm down a little bit. We got to see what happens. There's a number of reports we have to get back before those decisions get made. No problem. But just so you understand, there was no scenario where Volk was going to be told yes or no. Now, had Volk won, likely Rodriguez Ortega would have got named number one contender. We had a brief shakeup in the plans. Now, so you understand that weight class, okay? You have the usual suspects, and you've had them for a period of time. And Ortega versus Rodriguez is just a demonstration that the old guard is still clinging pretty tight. Those usual suspect names, those top-ranked guys and those top draws within the weight class are still the baddest dudes around. And there's no division that wants that to be the case for too long. But what do you do? What do you do in the ultimate proving ground if these guys are willing to prove it? Well, okay, you just keep going. You keep going until they run out, but we're not there. Aljamain Sterling is one win and one shot on a microphone away from a title shot. And the induction of Aljamain Sterling into the weight class is going to be so refreshing and so incredibly well received if he has the right performance and if he calls for the title shot. I don't know that I'm predicting that for you. I'm sharing for you before you say, oh, obviously it goes to Ortega, obviously you give it to Volk. Your obvious isn't so obvious. With one fight and one shot on a microphone from a champion in a different division who has moved up. I'm letting you know that. Now, let's take that same night. Let's say Aljo goes at it. He grabs the baton. Everyone goes, whoa, it's Aljo. 45 minutes later, Max Holloway is going to have his shot. The right performance, the right call out. And Max can take that spot right back from Aljo. Now, they both might go out and do great. We're going to bicker about it a little bit. That would be a perfect scenario for the company and everybody involved. They might both lay an egg. Aljo might have the perfect fight, come out, say something unexpected. Okay, great. We pass it over to Max. He gets the jump on Gaethje. We think we're setting things up for Topuria. He goes after Islam. Like, we don't know where this is going to go. I'm sharing for you the oars are out of the water on announcing what's next for Topuria until a couple of these things play out. Like 145 has some oddly interesting options right now. Max Holloway has stated, regardless of what happens with Gaethje, he wants to return to 145. That's the belt. That's the one he thinks about. But I don't know if that's true when Volkanovski's not the one holding it. Max never said Volk. He never said the one that's important to me to get back is a win over Volk. He didn't say, he said the belt. But sometimes a polite guy will say the belt when he means the person. I don't know. I know a number of us, I know you guys have started this, and I'm with you. If Max beats Justin, two things in this order. If we get to decide what happens, two things, and we want them in this order, start a whole damn division. Bring a lineage to the BMF belt that we love so much. Bring a lineage. You put out a card, which is the biggest card of all time, and we, the people, have spoken. That's our main event. We like the BMF belt. So in this order, we would hope that Max would be able to defend that. Now, we don't expect that to be true. Take it away. We keep Max at 155 pounds. We put Max in against Islam. That is what the community is saying. A very distant third, if Max beats Gaethje and becomes BMF champion, is that we drop him down to 45 and have him fight Topuria, like an extremely distant third. So I'm sharing for you what's happening at 145 right now, and I'm sharing for you some of the reasons. If those matches don't go in the way that I said, or if the shots on the microphone don't go in that direction, nobody's going to get encouraged and nobody's going to get put in that spot. Nobody's going to wake up one day to a phone call that says, hey, we're going to slide you down here. It will instantly default and go to the rightful guy, which right now is either Ortega or it's Volkanovski. And Ortega appears to be very polite. He really does. I think one of the reasons that Ortega was so polite post-Yair wasn't just to show respect to his foe. I think it was also to show respect to his other foe, who was Volkanovski. But we always get this in a division. When you have a division full of killers, eventually they will all find each other, they will get up in the loft, and they will attempt to pull the ladder up behind them. You got to bring somebody in, put that ladder back down, give other people an opportunity. And other people is what a promotion is always looking for. And the other people at 145 being given the opportunity, the spotlight, they're going to stand back, they're going to watch, they're going to see how they do and what they say. One, Max Holloway, and two, Aljo Sterling. And there will be no announcements at featherweight for a title until those pieces of business are settled.